The Model O Wireless is my favorite offering from Glorious and is now wireless, which excites me, as I've always found Glorious mice to feel middle of the road, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they finally made a premium mouse at an affordable price. So, let's get nerdy. Starting off with the negatives, if you can call them that, comes with the BAMF Sensor, which supports next generation specs with 19,000 DPI, 400 IPS, and 1000 Hz polling rate. Supposedly there isn't any angle snapping, but that doesn't keep me from being able to do straight lines like a boss. Just locks me in there, kind of like how aim assist feels on a controller, except this makes me miss shots and struggle with micro adjustments, meaning it is very mild, but I feel the same thing with the Model O Wireless, which has the same sensor. Arguably, depending on skill level, this could help or hinder your aim. I found this mouse dominates in Halo Infinite, as shooting in that game is very linear. Liftoff distance is fantastic at 1mm, but can be adjusted to 2mm in the software for people who don't like low liftoff distance, which I guess there's a large amount of you out there. I haven't noticed any aberrant behavior other than the angle snapping, which I notice less and less the more I use it. So while it's not the best sensor on the market, it's still perfectly usable at any level of play. It weighs 65 grams, which is excellent, but I had to double check that on my scale as it feels significantly heavier than that, which makes me think the matrix is breaking, as I expect a mouse this size with a honeycomb design that is wireless to feel ultra light. So when it doesn't, it throws me off. I believe this is because other high-end mice spread their weight out equally, which is hard to do, making them feel lighter than they really are, where this does the opposite, and all of that is focused on the center. The only positive of this is that it makes it feel like a tank and slows down my aim in Halo so I can be a bit more accurate when I'm feeling fidgety. The RGB lighting is meh. If they were to put a black outline around it, I think it would really make it pop more. It also drains the battery faster while adding weight, but still miraculously weighs 65 grams, which is impressive. You can adjust the colors via the onboard controls or through software. Battery life is perfectly acceptable. I don't have any real complaints, but no praise either. With RGB lighting on at stock, I got about 40-ish hours. Obviously, turning down or off the RGB lighting will net me more, which isn't terrible, but isn't great either. Thankfully, it comes with their USB-C Ascend cord that is 6.5 feet long with an extender dongle. This is the best paracord I've tried on any mouse, period. You won't be using it very often, but when you do, you'll forget that it's even there. Seriously, this thing is just like, I don't want to unplug it from everything, but like, just look at it. It's just beautiful. It's so good. It's so good. So hats off to you, Glorious, for providing what should be commonplace with all other mice, but especially for those like the G Pro Wireless that cost $150 and come with a cord straight from like the year 2000. How other major brands still struggle to provide good paracords blows my freaking mind. Moving on to the positives, they've redone their clicks. Gone are the old 20 million Omrons, and in are the 80 million Kale switches that you can hand down to your grandchildren. But they are still mechanical, meaning they can double click, so they might not actually make it there. Primary click and side clicks feel great with low pre/post travel, strong spring back force, and a satisfying sound. Paired with their software, they're fast, probably the fastest I've tried on any mechanical switch, making it feel ultra responsive. However, they require moderate pressure to actuate, which can make them feel slightly heavy, especially when compared to lighter switches, but I didn't really notice that unless if I was doing direct A/B comparisons. You can adjust the debounce delay in their software, which comes in stock at 10 milliseconds, but ain't nobody got time for that, so I put it to 0 milliseconds and hope for the best. So far, I haven't had any issues, except if I tap the mouse on the desk, it will actually actuate, which I use for some nasty trick shots, which is a bit strange, but also not unheard of. This tends to happen when you have really low actuation, as the massive G-forces when tapping and banging against something will register a click since it doesn't have very far to go. This doesn't have a DPI button on the bottom of the mouse, instead it's actually on the top right here. Side buttons are a bit small, just in general, but are located in the correct positions if you want, and actually feel very, very good to press. They have very strong spring back force, light pre/pro travel, and really just, I love them. I love all of the clicks on this mouse, feel really good, except, middle mouse click doesn't feel the best, but we'll get into that in a second. Feels a little bit mushy and just is a little harder to actually press, just because I feel like I tend to, with the size of like these little, I don't know what to call them, that thing right there and that thing right there, it makes me scroll almost when I'm pressing down on it, making it a little bit harder to actually actuate. But the middle mouse button does move just a little bit, doesn't end with mild spring back force. The scroll wheel is very mild and very, very smooth. you can feel the points, but they aren't very strong points. So the scroll wheel, I'm not as big of a fan of personally. I like my scroll wheels to be have a little more oomph to them, but that's personal preference. I think just in general, nobody will mind this scroll wheel at all. I also love that there's RGB in it. The shape and size are similar to the medium-sized Final Mouse Starlight 12, with the exception that it is a bit thinner and a bit flatter on the top. So going on a little bit more on that, if I put these two together, as you can see, it's a little bit longer right there. Try to line that up a little bit better. Yeah, so it's a little bit longer. And when you're comparing it, this mouse is a little bit thinner than the Starlight 12 medium. When compared to the small Starlight 12, obviously it's about as thin as the Starlight 12, but it's not. Obviously, this is a lot longer. So there you go. And when comparing it to the Logitech G Pro X, it's going to be a lot thinner than the G Pro X is, but about as long. And just because I've got you here, the Logitech or the Razer Viper Ultimate, same story of the Razer Viper Ultimate's actually a little bit longer. And yeah, again, this is a little bit thinner than the Razer Viper Ultimate. You can kind of tell just based on the bottom there. I'll do a quick comparison there of the Pro, of the medium Starlight 12, and of the small Starlight 12. And yeah, you can really see kind of the difference there, except it flares a little bit more. So in general, what I'm saying here is if you're wanting to try kind of the Starlight 12 shape, but you don't want to pay for a Starlight 12 first, you could always pick this guy up. And if you like the majority of this, these two shapes are very, very similar. Here's the Xtrfy MZ1, which I would consider to be obviously a small mouse, and there's a pretty dramatic difference there. But again, I think the thinness is pretty much the same between those two. With it being quite thin, I think some users will either love or absolutely hate it. Otherwise, it has a symmetrical design, and the sizes between a small mouse such as the Logitech G305, Xtrfy MZ1, and Razer Orochi V2, and the Razer Viper Ultimate and or Logitech G Pro Wireless, as I just showed off, which to me is ideal for medium to small hand sizes or large hands that use claw/fingertip. Palm is possible, but it's just not very comfortable unless if you have medium or small hands. As I mentioned previously, build quality is excellent, which is new to me from Glorious, as I find their QA to usually be highly questionable and average. But this guy has absolutely zero flaws. Zero flaws. The side buttons, perfect. The primary clicks, perfect. Scroll wheel, for what they're going for, is perfect. DPI button, perfect. No I have no flex whatsoever, not even on the bottom here. The power button feels good to turn on and off. Like, I am genuinely so surprised at how good this thing feels. The matte white coating also feels quality in the hand, prevents slipping in the hand, and also I just think that this is a nice, attractive looking mouse. They come with G skates and they are truly glorious. Probably some of the best stock feet on any mouse I've ever tried. They are quite thick at 0.81 millimeters, made of 100% virgin PTF feet, and are rounded to prevent snagging. You won't need third-party skates here. You don't need to download their software, but if you do, you can change the RGB color, buttons, lift-off distance, debounce delay, and a bunch of other things. They're constantly improving it. It's lightweight on your system. I have no real complaints. You can adjust lighting effects without the software via onboard button combinations. If I remember, I'll throw up that as a static picture. Last, it comes with a 2-year warranty, meaning they stand by their work. So moving on to the conclusion, this mouse does a lot of things right, such as having an excellent USB-C Ascend charging cable, G-skates, primary clicks, side clicks, shape, size, weight, and build quality. I'll also throw in the scroll wheel, even though it's not my favorite. I think a lot of people will really enjoy it. The BAMF sensor feels slightly off. The 65 grams feels heavier than it is, and the clicks when compared to other premium mouse don't feel as good, despite the Kale switches, just in the sense of lightness. Add that to average RGB, software, and battery life, and I'm left shaving some points off. However, when incorporating the $80 cost, these cons are easily dismissed. This is easily a top 5 wireless mouse for me, and an overall top 10 contender. I am appreciative that they improved their switches and QA. I still highly respect their pricing and what Glorious is trying to achieve as a brand. If you end up buying this one, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it down in the comment section below. Otherwise, I will see you and GW Face on the next one. God bless and peace out.